The Chicago Bulls get absolutely blown out in their season opener against the Atlanta Hawks. What is going on, y'all? FaizSportsTalk back at it with another video talking, of course, some NBA here to talk about the Chicago Bulls. So if you're a Bulls fan and you're new to the channel and you are not subscribed, make sure you do so because I do talk a lot of NBA on this channel. And you do not want to miss out when I do post my NBA vids, and make sure that you have the post notifications turned on so you don't miss any upload, guys. And make sure you're following me on all my social media platforms. I also tweet out a lot, give my thoughts on there. Instagram, follow me on there as well. All the links is always down below. So a lot of you guys wanted me to talk about the Bulls' performance or lack thereof in their opening day game against the Atlanta Hawks. So I did watch the game, obviously, and I have a lot of thoughts about it. So I wanted to come on and just spill them out for you guys. So you know what? Let's just do it. Rant style. Let's get into it. All right. So there's a lot to talk about here. All right. But we don't need to beat around the bush. All right. The Bulls got absolutely manhandled and just destroyed and broken apart in this one. All right. They did. It was like a 40-point deficit at one point. It was embarrassing. And I'm pretty sure every single Bulls player was embarrassed by that performance out there. Now, there were some that should be more embarrassed than others, but I'll get to that in a second. So, first game of the regular season, I'm not going to overreact or panic. I'm not going to be that guy. It's just way too early. But am I not going to take anything away from this game? No, because the games do count now. I could have said that about the preseason, but I can't say that about the regular season. So, I have a couple things that I took away from this game that I think are going to be telling about how this season goes for the Chicago Bulls. Okay, first and foremost, there is no identity to this basketball team, at least that I saw in that first game, right? And again, it's just one game. So take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt and understand we're just talking about one game, and it's a 72-game season. Usually it should be 82, but 72 this year, so that we have a lot of basketball left. 71 more games left, okay? So please take that into account. I'm not panicking, not saying the house is on fire, it's burning down, nothing like that. Just giving my takeaways here. The Bulls don't have an identity right now. And I'm sure it will develop, but right now they don't. We don't know if we're a defensive team. We certainly aren't, because the defensive performance out there was awful, okay? Their defense was just trash. We don't know if we're a run and gun team. We don't know if we're a half-court team. We don't know if we're a physical team. Like, we don't have an identity yet. And I believe we will find that as the season goes on. But we can't be successful until we have an identity. Until you have something that you depend on, that you know you do well, that you fall back on, you won't be successful in this league. That is how you are able to take that next step, is to get an identity. Or else you're just out there running around like a headless chicken, right? So I hope Billy Donovan has an identity in place. I'm sure he does, and I hope we get to see it. All right? So that's point number one. The Bulls right now don't have an identity. Point number two, and it kind of, is a little bit of point number one, which is because the Bulls don't really have an identity, we don't have defined roles on this team, right? We don't know what everybody's role is. So Wendell Carter Jr., everybody wants to obviously talk about Wendell and his poor performance out there. And he was awful. He apologized for it. And he was bad. What is Wendell's role? Is he a spot-up three-point shooter? Is Kobe a score first point guard? Or is he actually going to set up the table for the rest of the team? Because he played pretty bad as well last night. We know Zach's our scorer, but is that really all he is? Is he going to be a secondary facilitator? Is Laurie going to be our main scorer? Like, there's so many roles that are not defined yet. And that, I think, is a big issue right now, is as the season goes on, the Bulls are going to identify, okay, Kobe White is, I'm just saying, for example, he's the secondary scorer, okay? Maybe Zach's the main point guard. Maybe Laurie is, the main post option. Maybe Wendell is not a three-point threat and we need to get him more inside. So all of these things need to figure themselves out. Not to mention, obviously, Patrick Williams, what his role will be. Guys like Otto Porter Jr., guys like that, Thaddeus Young when he comes back. So defined roles are going to be very, very important. And the defined roles are going to help identify our identity. All right? So that's 2. Point number 3, the rotation needs to be figured out. All right? So again, I'm not criticizing Billy Donovan. It's just way too early. All right? I'm going to let Billy Donovan kind of figure things out, get a feel for things here. It's game number 1 for Pete's sake. All right? So rotations. What I saw out there, I get it. Thaddeus Young was out tonight. We had a couple guys missing, but I'm not sure why, guys like Adam Okaka are getting playing time, why, certain guys are getting more minutes than others, who's in the rotation, who's not. Archie Diacono's playing more minutes than I would have thought. I thought he'd be out of the rotation or really, getting a few minutes. But again, this could be part of the injuries too as well. But when Thaddeus comes back, what are the rotations going to look like, right? The starting 5 is fine, right? Patrick Williams is fine. I like Otto Porter Jr. coming off the bench. I think he provides a great spark, okay? So I like that. But what is the role going to be? What is the rotation going to be, for all of these guys, right? Because when the starting 5 is off, are you going to take everybody off? Or are you going to have at least, maybe Kobe out there with the secondary team so that he's the main scorer, or Zach out there, or Laurie out there? What's the rotation going to be? Certain guys need to be cut out. Certain guys need to be included. And you can't have too big of a rotation because then guys aren't able to get into a rhythm, right? So rotations need to be figured out and they need to be fixed. And I know Billy Donovan's just working through it right now, but from what I saw, there was a couple of guys that I didn't think needed to get minutes, and they got minutes. So we'll see. All right? And then finally, I think the biggest point is defense. Defense is still a problem with this team. We thought in the preseason they may have turned the corner. Zach LaVine was playing stellar defense. We had, Patrick Williams looking good. And I'm not saying they're awful defenders, but as a team, defensively, this team needs a lot of work, okay? And hopefully they will improve throughout the season, but defense is going to be the main issue with this team. I see no problem with this team scoring the basketball, right? Zach LaVine can score, Kobe White can score, Lauri Markkanen can score. That's 3 guys right there that I think have a chance to give you 20 points a night easy, all right? But on the other end, can Lauri stop anybody? Can Zach stop anybody? Can Kobe stop anybody? And right now, they're not very good defenders. So we don't have any elite defenders on this team. Hopefully Patrick Williams turns into one. We don't have any good defenders on this team right now. So even if we have individually good defenders, we also need to play good team defense. So for the Bulls to take the next step, their defense needs to be fixed. Their defense needs to not be the problem. I guess you could say we should be able to outscore teams, but folks, it's just very difficult. And speaking of outscoring teams, let me give some credit to the Atlanta Hawks. These aren't your, granddaddy's Atlanta Hawks here, folks. These Atlanta Hawks are good, all right? These Atlanta Hawks are loaded with talent shooters everywhere. And they didn't even have Clint Capella last night. So I don't want people to say, oh my goodness, the Bulls lost to a garbage Hawks team. No, this Hawks team can make the playoffs. They added a lot of talent around Trae Young. So these Hawks, they're good. This was a quality opponent. This was not a trash team that the Bulls lost to. Now, they shouldn't have gotten blown out, but that's neither here nor there. Point being is defense, still a problem. So essentially, my 4 takeaways from this game, from the first game of the season, and I'm not panicking. Don't panic yet. It's way too early. Number 1, the Bulls don't have an identity. Number 2, the Bulls don't have a defined role for everybody on the team. Number 3, the rotation needs to be figured out and fixed and finalized. And 4, the defense is still a problem for this team. So that's what I see so far. Again, I'm going to try to, see what I can pick up on in the coming games. But I'm still excited. I still have not lost enthusiasm. We understood that when, AK and Mark Eversley took over this team, that this was not going to be a 1-year rebuild. This was going to be a long-term rebuild. And also the fact that they didn't really change the roster at all, right? So that combined with the fact that it's going to be a long rebuild, I am willing to stay patient because we do not have guard packs anymore. That is enough for me. So let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts on what you thought of the Bulls in the first game of the regular season. Let me know down below. As always, thanks for watching.